Can you tell me more about the MAD movement and how it addresses these systemic issues?
Yeah, so the MAD movement has evolved from this reclamation of the term MAD. It really more so came to the fore, particularly in a North American context, back when there were a lot of those civil rights movements of the late 60s and early 70s, the sort of anti-war sentiments, sort of post-World War II, and then the frustration of society and dealing with these global conflicts, queer liberation, feminism, all these intersectional movements came about. And coincided really with the need for people with mental health issues, people who live with psychosocial disability, people that were institutionalised in asylums, also sought to have their own movement, which was about, having dignity and respect, speaking up around coercion and trauma of the system, speaking up around abuse and harm in the system as well, such as from treatments or from deprivation. A lot of these asylums were closed down because they were out of mind, out of sight, and governments stopped funding them, and they just had so little staffing that people were really left to be deprived in these environments. So through that civil rights movement, we saw these kind of the umbrella of identities in the mental health community, psychiatric survivor, which is usually a bit more radical in terms of the positioning, because people have often been really harmed and abused by the system, such as people that have had electroconvulsive therapy and they've had long-term memory impacts due to that, include myself in that. And there's people that identify as consumers in Australia, which is more so about being a consumer of mental health services, which is a little less political, but still positioned in a critical way because you've accessed services. So there's that element of having a mental health issue beyond just having a lived-in living experience. There's also people that identify with neurodiversity, people that identify as psychiatrically disabled. So all these positionings have come together along with Mad Pride. And Mad Pride has really sought to push back against the societal saneness norms that have been put upon us in terms of how we should be, how we should behave, how we should emotionally respond in a world that's often discriminatory, ableist and sanist. And Mad Pride really seeks to celebrate, actually, the diversity and I think, as I mentioned before, the gifts and the superpowers that come with having a mental health condition. You only need to look to the world's greatest artists and creatives and celebrities even, and many of them live with kind of severe and enduring mental health issues or psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar, and have been able to make something of that, either through the neurodiversity of that experience or through the resilience and through the overcoming of those experiences that turn into leadership as a skill. So the MAD movement is all about, celebrating the diversity of our experience, but also advocating for, human rights, social justice issues and mental health. Speaking about the profiting and capitalism links with the medical model, and talking about alternatives as well. Like, what are the alternatives to the medical model if it's not working? Well, there's a lot of peer-led approaches that work in lots of different communities and cultural contexts. So we're trying to, Mad Pride is also all about acknowledging that mad people need to be leading the solutions, but that's not where the power lies. So, it's really about, a lot of mad-led services in kind of pursuing this lived experience movement and offering an alternative outside of the biological and psychological determinants of mental health.